Hello, friends and fellow board gamers. Welcome back to Board Games with Rob. In this video, I'm going to be giving an overview and then my review of a trick-taking game that I wound up getting a copy of at Gen Con, and that is Tricky Kids by Pandasaurus Games, and it is designed by Danielle Reynolds and Stephen Ungaro. Now, trick-taking games, I have to admit, I am a big fan of them, and they've been a big hit lately with a lot of different mechanics, from cooperative trick-taking games to two-player trick-taking games, and they tend to lend themselves to developing that catch, right? What's that unique twist that's going to be unique and separate this from all the other types of trick-taking games that are out there? So the question is, does this have a catch? Is it unique? Is it worth getting? Well, let's go down to the table. Let me tell you about how it plays, and then we'll come up here and I'll give you my thoughts on Tricky Kids. All right, everybody, this is the setup for Tricky Kids. It comes in a really nice box from Pandasaurus and some really nice artwork. And I really like the cards. They've got this like Mead notebook, marbled notebook type look that kind of is reminiscent of kids, me as a kid having a school book, a little some post-it notes, but they're really nice thick cards, and they are writable. They're going to it's going the game's going to come with dry erase markers, and these are dry erase cards. So obviously you're going to want to make sure that they are durable, and they are. And so it's going to come with a deck of cards, and there's going to be only three different suits of cards: the blue, the yellow, and the pink. And as you can tell, there's something missing from these cards. What might that be? Well, it's a rank or a number. There's no numbers on these cards. Why is that? What kind of craziness is that in this game? Well, that is the catch in this game. Players are going to be dealt a hand of 9 cards. So let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's say we've got a 3-player game here. Everybody will get 9 cards. They'll kind of look at their cards and organize them. And I will tell you, I've played the game a bunch, but I don't have any really rhyme or reasoning or method to my madness as to um, how to strategize on this quite yet. But in a lot of trick-taking games, you might want to discard. And so I should say, players are going to discard 2 cards and wind up with a hand of 7 cards. So what I was getting at is, in a lot of trick-taking games, maybe you want to discard the cards that might allow you to bleed a suit. In other words, you don't have any pink, so if somebody was to lead a pink, maybe you'd want to get rid of a card. I find that sometimes getting the lead and being able to hold the lead is important in this game. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you to discover strategy, but yes, at the beginning of the round, everybody is going to discard 2 cards because you're going to have 7 tricks to play over the course of a round, and the game will consist of 3 rounds. So, what you'll do is everybody is going to have a bank of 21 points to split among these 7 cards. So, yes, somebody could just put 21 on one card and then write 0 down on all the other cards. They could possibly win just one trick, though, with the 21, and then wouldn't win another trick after that. So that probably wouldn't be a smart decision to make. So you're going to want to write down different numbers on these cards. And yes, you can't go over 21. So let me take a second here and we'll.
I don't know.
All right, so I've come up with 21 points for this. Let me go ahead and I will come up with another grouping of numbers. All right, so I've just now done another 21 worth of points. Let's do another third one. All right, and now I've come up with another group of 21 points distributed among 7 cards. Now, one thing I'd note, obviously, with 21 points and 7 cards, the average of each card would be 3 points. So you're going to wind up deviating plus or minus, and you can have zero on a card. Zero is a valid number. There are penalties, however, if for some reason your math is wrong and there's a check phase where everybody will check their points, and that is left up to the trustworthiness of the group. And there are rules for that specified in the game for checking on everybody, but in the games that I've played, I haven't incorporated that, and we've just trusted that everybody can count to 21 and is not cheating. So let's begin a hand of the game, and let's just say that, oh, I lead with a 1. All right, so maybe this person here, they play a 3, and you have to follow Trump. So let's say, given this, the third player does 0, and so 3 obviously would win. This player would win the trick, and they won with a yellow card, so they win the first hand. They would circle that they won 2 points. They won the yellow, so they would circle that. Notice that if they had won a pink hand, then they would have gotten 0 points. So it's not just wanting to win a particular rank or color or suit. It is looking at the number distribution and knowing when to want to play that particular card. And did I go in deep? You will see these cards when you decide what to discard. So there it is going to lie some of the strategy as to what you keep, is noticing where some of the high numbers are on these tricks, these possible tricks that you can win. So then obviously, this person might lead with a 2. Well, then I can take it with, and let's make sure I'm playing on camera here, 2, and well, I'll play my 10, and this person will play a 0. The 10 would take it, and they would take the next one, and they would get 1 point. Shoot, if somebody could have gotten it with a, maybe that person might have wanted to lead with a pink because the pink was worth 5 points during that. So therein lies a little bit of the strategy in there, is what cards did I rank, and how deep am I into a certain card? Maybe I don't want to win until maybe this yellow, and I might want to keep this one, or let's say here I want to bank on having this 4, so maybe I'll just, lose the lead and I'll play my 0, and, this player might play with their 2, and oh, well, shoot, all this player has is their 1 that they put, a 10 on there. So they're going to win, but with the 10, they've just wasted their 10. But they are going to, thank goodness, they got the 5 points on this, the blue that's worth 5 points. So they'll get that. So you're going to play out all of the hands, and, people will get the chips and they'll circle what they got. And these will go out, to the winners of the tricks. And then at the end of the round, you'll just count up all the points that you won. In this particular case, this player got 2, 3, 4 points. This player got 3 and 1. They got 4 points. And this player over here, they scored 2 and 5. That player got 7 points. You'd score that, and then you'd play 3 more rounds. You'd lay out 7 more of these tiles. And then finally another 7. You'd play 3 rounds. And at the end of those 3 rounds, the person with the most points wins the game. Now, the game does come with these tricky rule cards, and these provide different rules at the beginning of every trick. So this one here, go around the table twice. Players may swap out a card if desired. Your other right, after writing your hand, pass it counterclockwise. No zeros or tens. So you're going to be writing numbers down and then passing that off to another player. Your leadoff passes clockwise after each round. Now I can see where this is going to be crucial, because I found that in playing the game, that a lot of times the person that won the trick had a lot of control over winning most often. So it became and I'll talk about that in my comments of the game, but sometimes it became a thing of, wanting to get the lead and keep that. Smalls, you must always play your lowest possible card. So there's a lot of cards in here that provides a lot of variety and chance to the game, that adds to this whole thing about, being able to declare your numbers on the card with the dry erase markers. So what do I think about Tricky Kids? Well, let's go back up to the top and we'll talk about my thoughts. All right, folks. So that was Tricky Kids, and what do I think about it? I like this game. I love this game. I rate it an 8.5. I'm going to start right out with my rating. I do love trick taking games, so I must preface that. So I would hope if you're watching this review, you probably are interested in it because you like trick taking games and want to know what's that unique catch about this that doesn't or differentiates it between all the other trick taking games out there. And that is quite simply the ability to declare your own rank on these cards using those dry erase markers. I've never seen that done. I really like that, and it's brought a lot of unique, funny moments around the table, and like somebody will put a lot of will put a high number on a card and just bank on that card, and then oh well somebody else put a higher number on that, and then what they thought was high was really not that high, or maybe they I don't know. There's just a lot of different unique circumstances that this presents to the game. And I did find, however, that if you could get control of the game, though, that and take, in other words, take the lead, that sometimes you could wind up winning more often than not. By controlling the lead, you're going to typically play your high cards and somebody might then be forced to get rid of a card that they might have put a high number on and run you dry in that number. Um, I don't know. And you might have a different experience than I have had in that. But what I like about this is those tricky rules add enough variety to the game, and you shuffle those, you never know what you're going to get. That can break some of that experience that I've seen with being able to hold a lead and make it much more enjoyable. So I wouldn't recommend playing that with those cards until you've played the game, at least once to understand the mechanics of it. But it's a really simple game. You wouldn't think that those tiles with the different numbers on them, the trick counts would come into play, but they do. And having anything from yellow winning 5 points if you got that trick to if you get it with a blue, then it's only worth 0. And so maybe yeah, you put a high blue value on a card, but guess what? You only won 0 points. So there's a lot of depth to this game. I'm almost sad that that they chose the marketing Tricky Kids. There's a lot of and so this would be probably my only negative to the game is yeah, with the marketing, the look of the game, it makes it appear that it's a kid's game, and it's really not. It is. I mean, it can be. You can play this with kids, but it is geared towards a typical gamers game group playing trick taking games. I mean, this is right on par with a lot of the popular, Nokusu dice, and it's nothing like that. But I'm just saying it is a good trick taking game for adults as well as kids, and one that you would probably have in your game group. And having it look like it's this child's game may not lend people to want to pick it up, thinking, "Oh, this is a kid's game." So, but knowing what it is, I kind of like the artwork. I like the marble theme, and makes me it reminds myself of school days, and I love it. I love the little game controller icons on the chips, and it's fading there into the background there. But really high durable cards. They're really thick, and the dry erase markers are really good, high quality. They don't the cards don't tend to sometimes with those dry erase type of coverings you can get some peeling on cards. I haven't had that happen, and the tiles themselves are a really thick cardboard. They're not they spent a good amount of money in the quality of the game. So, and I really like those tricky rules cards. Again, they add a lot of variety to the game. It's just I have fun. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of yelling in this game when people are. I don't know. It's been. I say yelling in a fun way, like, oh, I can't believe I lost that trick and that was my good card. Anyway, it's a fun time. So yes, I would highly recommend Tricky Kids from Pandasaurus Games. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for tuning in. What are some of your favorite trick-taking games? I love trick-taking games, so let me know what some ones that I might need to take a look at and make sure that I've got. Have you had a chance to play this? Do you play with the Tricky Rules cards? Have you found that if you get the lead in this game that you tend to win more often than not? Is this more about getting the lead, or have I just not played enough games of it? I've played a dozen or so games of games of this. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it. So yes, thanks again for watching. Have fun gaming, and more than anything, be kind to one another. So long.